Hello and welcome everyone to Under the Black Light with me, Governor Wildstar. Hello everyone out there, and thank you very much for choosing to join me here yet again for another crazy, involved, um, intellectual, enlightening, and hopefully inspiring conversation where we will discuss those truths and conversations and topics that seem to be untouched nowadays. And I do thank each and every one of you out there that have chosen to join me here today, as well as listen to the previous past recordings and just have been with me the whole entire time. So I appreciate each and every one of you, and I thank you for joining me here right now. And as you may know, listening to these recordings and this show, I have had guests on previously, but this one will be the last one for Black History Month, as well as being the last episode of Under the Black Light with Governor Wildstar. So I appreciate you all for tuning in to every episode up until now, and I thank you for joining me. I just want to talk a little bit about why I chose to do the show. It seems to me like me choosing to produce this and put this out there for people to hear has created a bit of a rift with friends and family members. And as much as I'm not doing anything purposely to upset anyone, I have to be myself and I have to be true to who I am. And I chose to do this show because Black people in general have had it hard. Of course, the obvious, but there's the underlying factors that we know amongst the Black community that isn't really spoken about much. And it's the underlying factor that Black people are assumed to be, ignorant or not educated or whatever you want to say. And it's unfortunate that we as a whole have had this inferiority complex beat into us over centuries of time. And we're still shaking off that mindset as a whole. And I know it being a Black person. I feel it being a Black person. I see it being a Black person. I hear it being a Black person. And if being a Black person offends anybody out there, then I suggest you take a look in the mirror and wonder why me being a Black person offends you. Because that has a lot to do with how society has perpetuated Black people as a whole. And that has a lot to do with how we view ourselves. And I wanted to take an opportunity to show Black people that we are more than the water cooler talk or shooting the breeze or whatever kind of conversations that you want to have that are meaningless and have no substance to them, when really we generally as a whole should be talking about more. As much as I love sports and enjoy them or had enjoyed them, they're just not as enjoyable to me now. And the reason being is because there's so much more for us to be talking about as people, as a whole, as a human race, that I feel like those sorts of discussions need to be set aside. And I feel like it's really imperative for Black people to move forward into these types of conversations and start having them. It's always assumed that the conversations had on the news or regarding politics or just life in general seems to turn us off as a whole. And I don't see any reason why that should be. And I really feel like if there were more outlets such as this show to give Black people something different to listen to or something different to conceive of in their mind, it would help construct a different type of world that we live in. We all have a role to play in this rebuilding of humankind, in this what do you want to call it? I guess saving of humankind But I do feel like Black people play a definite role in helping save humanity. And I really feel like it's time for us to step up to the plate, especially knowing who we are as a people. Once you dive into that knowledge, it's definitely becomes a responsibility, if not anything, a life purpose for you to go out and start acting on these things. So I appreciate everyone out there that has been listening, and even the people that have chosen to express their negativity towards this expression of blackness. I thank you for as well for even just taking a moment to even hear all of this, as well as sharing your opinion on the situation. I know that takes a lot of guts as well, and I thank you for being brave also. And it's sad that we, as Black people, we have to kind of, you know, shudder away to the corner to kind of have these conversations and have them discreetly amongst each other, when really we're supposed to be living in a world where we're supposed to be able to speak with each other openly and honestly. And I don't see any reason why we as a whole, as humans, shouldn't be at that point already. It's unfortunate that we've been stagnated by racism, prejudice, or whatever else you want to call it. But these ills and errors of mankind need to stop. And if that focus starts to change on how we can stop them, then we'll definitely be given an opportunity to move up out of that dark area. So I'm gonna spark my wild leaf right quick. I've been told that me smoking my bubbler during the shows have caused a little bit too much distraction. So bear with me just a moment while I spark this. Excuse me. Okay. So as I was saying, I got my tea, I got my wild leaf. I'm good to go. And it's just me and you. So for the next hour, we're gonna chop it up. We're going to get real down and dirty, and you're going to get to know Governor Wildstar through and through, just a little bit of how deep I can let you go. So I want to talk a little bit about, I guess, being presumed as being an angry Black man. And it's sad that I come off as that, because a lot of people that hear me, the intelligent people that hear me and actually open their ears to the information that I'm sharing with them, opposed to focusing on the emotion or sentiment involved behind it, especially when I get angry in my videos, when I am confronted by the police. I mean, of course, it's warranted that I would have such a response, but it's sad that a lot of the information that I share with people fall on deaf ears. So, to all you people out there that tend to look at the Black man as being angry Black man just because he's expressing certain information that you may disagree with, and emotion gets involved, and that tone may become a bit more aggressive, I would say, then it's sad that that information falls on deaf ears, because it's a lot that we can learn from one another, even in times when in anger. I mean, just me and my wife, when we're having an argument and we're yelling at each other, I do my best to hear her out when she's upset, because that's what matters the most. And she respects me and does the same of me during those times. We get a lot further during our conflicts because of that one simple ingredient that we've decided to include in our problem solving. And as a whole, we should definitely start factoring in listening to each other during those times of anger, so we can learn how to be peaceful with one another. It is extremely imperative. It went out because I'm talking too much, not doing enough smoking. I'll try to balance that out too. But anyways, with regards to Malcolm X and his perception upon or how people perceived him, he was viewed as an angry black man. And it's sad that a lot of people saw him as being angry and militant and aggressive, because a lot of the information that he shared was extremely crucial to our betterment as a whole. I appreciate Dr. Martin Luther King. I love Dr. Martin Luther King, and I'm thankful for everything that he's done to contribute to the civil rights movement and propel the black race further with regards to its inclusion in America and its workings of society. But yet at the same time, I have to recognize other people that were shunned away that attempt to do the same thing, like Malcolm X, like the brothers of the Black Panther Party. And again, these people have attempted to do something that we as a whole should be doing. We should be all out there fighting with every tooth and nail, every drip of blood in our body, to fight for freedom, to fight for liberty, just like the forefathers of this country did when they first came here and left England, etc., and went to war with Europe over becoming independent. And we have long been away from that independence. And as individuals, you can see how that independence has now become more broken down, more watered down, more jaded. And when Malcolm X was being interviewed by quite a few people, in a lot of his interviews, he always talked about being black. He always talked about the strength of black power, the goal for blacks to become more included into how we have shaped this society since the constructs and foundation of this country has been built on slavery. That is a fact. As much as anybody out there don't want to accept it, the reason why America was rich, is rich, and will forever be rich was because they had a head start on the rest of the world, and that was over 700 years of slavery, okay? With black people, Mexican people, any other people that they saw to be inferior, even Irish people, okay? There were Irish slaves. And it's sad that a lot of people don't know about how slavery existed in this country and how it created this country's wealth and its foundation, because that is the very rock that we stand on to this day. And it's sad that that was a majority of this country's history. When was this country founded? Do any of you out there know? According to history or certain documentation, you may find that it was started in 1776 when the Revolutionary War kicked off, okay, to create America's independence. And even before that, there were settlers here since the 1500s. Okay, so from 1500, whatever, up until 1776, all slavery. Okay, 1776 up until 1960, 50, 40, no, 50, 60s. Yeah, you had severe racism, okay, still being expressed in this country. So for over more than half of its entire existence of this country, black people have been subjected to prejudice, have been subjected to hate, have been subjected to racism, have been subjected to discrimination, and yet we're just supposed to shake it off and act like nothing's happened. We're supposed to shake it off and act like everything's okay. And we're supposed to pretend to move forward in unison and harmony as if, again, these things never happen. And it's sad that when we have these conversations, it happens to offend people, or they want us to shy away from talking about it altogether. When Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, even Muhammad Ali was very vocal on being pro-black, and many of his interviews, you can look up interviews on YouTube with him and Howie Cosell or whatever, anybody that he spoke to. He talked about loving being black and wanting to marry a black woman and have black babies, and you know, and what's wrong with that? Because again, if we lived in a world where everything was equal, that wouldn't even be needed to be discussed. And I think that's a problem for white people to recognize, is if racial prejudice was not ever created by you, we wouldn't be having this conversation. That's just the fact of the matter. And as much as you don't want to believe that that wouldn't be so, just look at history in itself. The reason why things are the way that they are is because white people have always been in charge. They continue to stay in charge. They have created every facet of every of our civilization that we know of to this day. We have to dig in the crates to find out if a black man was behind that, instead of the black man being given credit. And that's another sad state of American history. But even that in itself, with racial epithets, such as the word nigga, being thrown around, a lot of people don't know where that originated from. And even till now, this is still in question as to its origination. But it has a very negative connotation. But black people say it amongst themselves, amongst each other. What's up, my nigga? How you doing, my nigga? Hey, yo, what's up, nigga? You see? So it can become a term of endearment when, again, this racial epithet, which it is, was used slanderously towards our people as a whole. And such words are given so much power only because of the mentality behind it, the hate, the sentiment, and even the word cracker derived from the whip cracker on the slave plantation. See, a lot of white people may not know this. They relate it to a cracker as a saltine. No, the term cracker came from the whip cracker on the plantations, the slave master, which still to this day, there are crackers all around you. Just look at your local law enforcement agency. I'm pretty sure you'll find tons of crackers. I know out here in California, LAPD, Fullerton PD, Anaheim PD, any PD out here in California that I've faced and encountered are full of crackers. Now, some people may hear that term and again associate it with me being hateful towards white people. No, it has everything to do with me being, me not wanting, I would say, someone of any color having authority over me. So whether it's a white cracker or a black cracker, that any type of a cracker that seems to express some sort of type of control over another person needs to be suppressed. They need to be demolished, because that is the epitome of oppression right now, right there. An overseer over someone that is non-willing and unwittingly being subjected to their force and their brutality. And that's what we face every day as people going out in these streets, walking down the street, fitting the description, getting pulled over while driving in the neighborhood that we supposedly don't look like we should be in. It's sad, but that's just the way that it is. And until we do something about it, it's going to stay that way and get worse. And that's why we see things increasingly getting worse right now right here during this time. And it's sad that we would think that being in the year 2017 now, that we would no longer be dealing with racial issues such as black, white, and we still are. Things to me now seem no different than back in the 1960s. So, all of you people sitting around watching my videos about me getting harassed by the cops, you're just like the people that were sitting around watching protesters getting sprayed with water hoses, getting chased down by dogs and beat by cops on TV. You're no different. I want to tell you that. You are no different. You want to know why? Because you aren't doing anything. You aren't. Because if you were doing something, or for all you older people, had you done something, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you right now. Our younger people wouldn't have to face such threats right now. You see? And that's the problem of our society, is we've gotten so complacent by sitting by idly and letting overseers control everyone else, because we still look at ourselves as living on a plantation. We are the new slaves. You're a slave. As much as you don't think you are, you're a slave. You're a slave to the dollar. You're a slave to your job. You're a slave to your boss. You're a slave to your grocery store. You're a slave to your water. You're a slave because you aren't providing these things for yourself. That's the only thing that makes you a master of your own society, a master of your own universe. And until we get to that point, we're still slaves. So I cannot agree with living as a slave of now. So I'll be that field slave that runs out there, runs amok, be the rebel to cause mutiny. And if that be the case, then again, I'll be it. Because there needs to be more field slaves here on this plantation, opposed to cotton picking, happy-go-lucky slaves out there slaving away their lives only to die for nothing. And there will always be a benefactor of your slavery. There is right now. And if you really want to talk about who we are as people, you have to talk about who I am. And I know you probably like who I am. No, not me, who I am. Who I am. Who is the I am? In the Bible, they talk about the I am. In the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was what? The Word, sound. That means a lot, because I can walk around on this plane deafly, but the minute I start speaking, I have the power to create. You see? So turning your words into power to create is the ability of the I am spirit. If you are a reflection of God and what God is, then God gave you all of what he or she, the Almighty, is within you. And that power is expressed in your day-to-day lives. And that power comes out in your expressions. And those expressions can be either physical ones or they can be verbal ones. So when we talk about the I am and who is I am, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, who am I? You know? I know who I am. I'm a strong person. I'm a very dignified person. I'm a very proud person. I'm a very loving person. I'm a very caring person. I'm a no-nonsense person. Okay? And I have to understand that in being who I am, I have to be that reflection of what the Almighty wants me to be. And that is that positive character instilled within every one of us. We have a moral meter to instilled within us to do right, to do good. It is the wrong that is man-made. That's the corporeal part of our being. It has everything to do with the physical nature of our being, opposed to the spiritual nature of who we are as humans. And if we start tapping into that origination of who we are as people, then I really feel like we'll get down to the root of the problems here with with one another. Because you may not know a lot about Black people or their power or their definition here um, to save humanity, but those in power do. And those in power seem to do everything in their power to oppress us. And that's definitely cause for question. And it makes me wonder. Those were the thoughts that made me wonder to pick up books and find out, who is it am I? Why is it that Black people have been so downtrodden, have been taught to hate one another? If I didn't even know about the Willie Lynch papers till I was maybe 18, 19 years old. And as a Black person, I feel like the Willie Lynch papers should be taught to us as children, because we should be breaking that pattern. That is a stronghold. To all my Black people out there listening, why do you think there's so much hate between dark skinned people and light skinned people? Why do you think there's so much hate between the girl with kinky hair versus the girl with straighter hair? Why do you think there's so much hate between the brother out there that expresses intelligence versus the brother out there that expresses more ignorance? You see, even though we're all one and the same, somebody somewhere put a divider in between us to keep us separated from one another. And those are the barriers that we need to start removing. And we need to do it at a rapid race, because again, right now it is time for us to rise. It's you're seeing the evolution of humankind all around you. More and more people are becoming aware of the spiritual energies of the enlightenment that has been happening on this planet, and they're definitely feeling more aware in consciousness. And this has everything to do with our evolution as human beings. If you want to look at Homo erectus and how he evolved to Homo sapien, if you care about that part of creationism at all, and that's a whole nother topic. But we wonder why that jump happened from ooh, ooh, ah, ah, to speaking to how we're talking now. And then what's the next jump from speaking to how we're talking now to being able to radiate thoughts into one another's mind and being able to speak in a telepathic way, or whatever case may be? What is next? This is what's next. We are the footprint of that creation, of that next step of humankind. And we're starting to see the details of that come out now. You have children being born with 4 strands of DNA. You can research this. They're coming out mutated. And I think that has everything a lot to do with a lot of genetically modified foods and our minds and bodies not being equipped and ready to receive those new energies. But you do have your breakthroughs, and they call those people indigo children, or um, light seers, or light workers, etc. So these are evolved beings that are here amongst us, and our ascended masters are amongst them as well. So if you believe in Buddha or Jesus Christ or Muhammad, etc., all of those energies of the oneness is here on this planet now, and it's using us. It's using its ability to lift us up as a whole, to pull us up out of that muck of darkness that we've been trapped in for so long. And even the pineal gland and its recent studies, as much as many of you may not know, the discoveries of the pineal gland are very recent and haven't really come around until after the Vietnam War. And up until then, the scientists, which were mainly white, happened to believe that the pineal gland in the brain was calcified. Well, the reason why they believed such was because the cadavers that they had mainly were of Caucasian origin. They weren't of African origin. There was a difference that they ended up finding out after the Vietnam War because they started to have a surplus of black bodies that they, after doing studies, found out that the pineal gland on the black man is not calcified. It is active. And there are ways to decalcify your own pineal gland. And these are things that are starting to develop now. You can see uh, any type of relation coming from that sort of study coming about. If you do any research into the Fibonacci sequence and how it relates to the natural sequence of order of things in life, that's what the Fibonacci sequence is. I'll just break it down for you quickly for you people out there. The pineal gland, it's a very small, sort of pea-sized little thing in your brain, and it sits about the middle where the back of your throat is, and or I would say right between your eyes, really deep in your brain. But that's really where they call the third eye, where a lot of projections from your brain actually happen. Your thoughts, your memories, um, your dreams, a lot of your etheric force field permeates from your pineal gland. It's extremely forceful. Um, but it's extremely small. And if you look under a microscope, it actually looks like a pine cone. And the Pope, he actually carries a staff with a pine cone on top of it. The Fibonacci sequence is a scientific way that they are able to numerically sequence the pattern of certain things, such as an acorn. It going around from its spiral, from its center around to the tip, and being equal in number from one end to the other. And this case and study is in all sorts of plants and everything that nature seems to produce. And it is in within you, that pineal gland, that again was assumed to be calcified, but is not, is extremely active. And the studies of phrenology definitely helped bring those discoveries about. That was actually a lot of experimentations done by Nazi scientists, believe it or not. They brought over a lot of scientists from Germany during the Nazi area to do studies on the brain and the skull. And these skulls that they had were of African origin, and they were trying to figure out could where in the skull was it figured that the black man was subject to be enslaved. What made them easier to be controlled? And these studies went on, paid for by the American government. So now, if you want to really assume that all is well, you got to think about those things, people. And if that be true, you can't believe that everything is A-OK and that things being the way that they are wasn't constructed that way for a reason. It's a reason why you have black people only delegated to ghettos. And then those neighborhoods end up being gentrified. And now the black person has nowhere to go because their one neighborhood that they had was taken over by money. And now, since they don't have the money to live in that neighborhood, they now have to go more deeper into the slums. So a there is a construct here to our society and how it applies to minorities and in which is really majorities. The darker people of the world do outnumber the lighter people of the world. And this is all true to form too. You can do your own research, Google it however you want to. I've done mine, you do yours. So right now I'm just talking, just getting it out. Okay. So for anybody out there receiving this information, want to disagree, etc., Do your research first, and we can talk. You can comment all you want, but if you really want to chop it up with Wildstar, you know where to find me, okay? And like I was saying, the majority of the people of the world are of darker tones. They are melanated people. And it has been discovered that the recessive genealogy of white people, um, or recessive genealogy, is white people. The blue eyes, blonde hair, pale skin. That is recessive genealogy, meaning that it is missing something. Okay, so what is missing there? And I would say that this has been the conquest of the white man. If you look at Hitler and um, his, I guess, what is it? His desire to want to take power stemmed from supremacy, stemmed from perfecting the Aryan race, making it the majority, and saying there is nothing wrong, and that this is the way that things should be. This is the perfect way things should be because it is the few, the small, when really it does not reflect the whole. So these studies, again, of the recessive genealogy, I believe, has a lot to do with the connection to white supremacy. Because once you start digging into melanated peoples and the power of melanin, you find out how much of a superiority there is in just that chemical makeup. And it's sad that just because of a person's color of their skin, they could be immediately indemnified as being someone that needs to be suppressed, someone that needs to be controlled or killed, even. Because if they have an opportunity to thrive, they will take over. And I think that that resentment comes from white supremacy, that fear of losing their footing, their ground, or their place in this world. And it's sad because if we're supposed to be a place that where everyone is supposed to be able to share and live equally and harmoniously, there seems to be only one small group that seems to be thwarting the whole and upsetting the whole balance of this entire planet. And um, it's hard being a black person knowing this, and I'll tell you this because it's a lot of black people that are ignorant to the information that I'm privy to and am aware of. And being a black person that is aware of this information, it's hard for me to live that lie. It's hard for me to agree with the ideals of my society, of my country, because it is all built around the ideals of men that saw that had nothing but fear in their hearts, fear in their eyes, fear in their mind. Even now, the fear of white supremacy is being expressed as a whole to the whole country. The fear towards immigrants, the fear towards Muslims, um, the fear will never stop. And we're supposed to be the country of bravery. I don't see much bravery here in America when it comes to how we should be engaging with one another. It's always scared first, act later. And being a black person in black communities, you see a lot of inclusiveness. I grew up in neighborhoods where there were tons of white people, even though majority was black, but the white people were there and they were very accepted. They were one and the same just with us, same as with the Spanish people or Asian people or anybody. And this customarily throughout history, factually, has been proven that black people have expressed open arms to others, to our non melanated peoples. And it's sad that we don't get the same in return. And um, even being black, you get the not being black enough from other black people. I've been told that myself. I'm not black enough. I speak white, or um, I don't use the word nigga enough, or I'm not hood enough, or whatever the case may be. It's sad that as a black person, I'm being told I'm not black enough by black people, by white people, and then other times I'm being told I'm too black by black people, by white people, and I just can't be a person, a human being. And if anybody out there is listening to this and would understand that in itself, then we would get a lot further in our racial problems here in this country. Is black people don't want to be identified as being black. Yeah, I don't like being called being black, but the factual way that the society identifies me is as a black person. So I can't help but respond that way. When I go to fill out an application and they say, are you white, black, this, that, or the other, or whatever the case, what do? I'm being forced again to identify myself as something that I disagree with completely. My skin isn't black. The color black itself, how many black people do you see? The majority of them are brown, and those people that you do see that are dark black still are definitely beautiful people, but still they aren't black. Sometimes they're African, or you know Sudanese or something like that, but they have a nationality. They have another origin, and black is really a legal terminology being placed on us again by our society that we live in. And even with being being identified as a black person in this country, kind of throws off things, especially when it comes to white supremacy and sympathizers of white supremacy, because you do have a lot of black people that have no problem faking the funk, so to speak, or acting as if none of these problems exist. Um, like Lil Wayne saying he never had to deal with racism before, so he doesn't identify with the problems black people deal with. So this is a brother that pretends to be more of a nigga than I am, yet he's telling you, black person, that spent money on buying his albums and funding his career and financing his life and his lifestyle, that he doesn't even identify with you and your problems. Okay? So you need to take these things into consideration when you look at who you identify yourself with, because it's a lot of false prophets out there, and these false prophets are wolves in sheep's clothing. We know this. We talk about this, yet at the same time, we do nothing about it. Um, Even with being slaves in this country and post traumatic slave disorder, that was actually a term that I learned from a writer, a doctor, actually, a psychologist named Dr. Joy DeGruy. I actually met her in person. She's a beautiful spirit, beautiful person, beautiful black woman that has taught me in so many ways of how we as a whole, as black people, still have not shaken off the shackles of who we were. And it's still present here today. And the people that perpetuate those shackles still being oppressed upon it, being pressed upon us, are those people that have no identity of themselves. Those are the sympathizers of supremacy. Okay, so even myself, I've dealt with my own personal prejudices that have left me to feel like uh, I'm nothing but a slave. I'm riding down the street on my bicycle and I'm being called a nigger because I'm in the road. or it's just disgusting. I really would like to talk about or focus on my own personal racial issues, but it, it's sad because again, I'm supposed to bury it deep and just move along with my life. I was dating a white girl once, and I had a dog, and she took my dog. You want to know how she took my dog? By going to court and having a restraining order put on me. The restraining order said that the dog was hers. The cops came over my house, took my dog on Christmas Eve, okay, to the white girl, and I had to go to court to get my dog back. When I went to court to fight the restraining order, I was told that I had to sue her in order to get my dog back, even though the judge dismissed the restraining order, saying it did not have any legal footing whatsoever, had no purpose. So I was illegally issued a restraining order. My dog was taken from me illegally, and now I have to go and sue her to get my dog back. Well, once I did that, the judge told me, hey, if you didn't buy the dog, technically the dog isn't worth anything, so I can't give you anything that you don't have. And if you didn't lose any monetary value, I can't replace it. So I had my property taken from me because of what? Now, a lot of people during then, even now, tell me, oh, you shouldn't have been dating that white girl. That's what you get for dating that white girl, or whatever. But what if it had been a black person or a black woman had that same situation happen? Would have judge actually honored um, that restraining order to take my dog away? And it's sad because they're right. It was because I was dating a white girl. And I live in a world to where they see her as being completely innocent and me being completely guilty. I see this when I go to court to face traffic tickets, okay? Driving without a license and other bullshit that they try to slap on you that that really has nothing to do with who I am as a character. But the minute I step in the courtroom because the jury sees a black man, guilty. Okay, check this out. When during my trial, okay, before it starts, the judge asks the jury, if you ever fight your tickets or go to trial or whatever, the judge will ask your jury. He will say, does anybody here think the plaintiff is guilty before we begin? Because that will automatically exclude you if you do so. The judge isn't going to say this, but the judge is going to ask to say, do you think he's guilty? Anybody here think he's guilty before we start? Do you know when they did this during my trial? Every juror, except for maybe one or two an exception, when there's 12, every juror raised their hand. The judge had to clarify, saying, you haven't heard the details of the case yet. If you're raising your hand saying that he's guilty, I have to exclude you because you're automatically being biased in the matter. You're automatically expressing prejudice in the matter. So that will exclude you from expressing any type of neutrality in the situation. So people know this. People respond to this, yet we do nothing. And no matter how much personal prejudice that I deal with, no matter how many racist experiences that I have, nothing about it is going to change until I do something about it. And what I'm choosing to do is what I'm out there doing right now. Learn about Governor Wildstar. Learn about Nicholas Wildstar. Learn about Q Ball, okay? Every one of those personalities out there is out there doing something to fight for you, okay? Whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Asian, whatever you think you may be based on your skin color, you are not that. I am out here fighting for the betterment of humankind because as a spiritual being, I know there is more for us to accomplish here. And I'm doing exactly that. And that's the true focus of the black agenda. When you hear about the black agenda in politics, or, when they talked about Obama fulfilling the black agenda, what does that entail? You know what I'm saying? Do black people want more welfare? Is that what y'all think? Do black people want more hand-me-downs? No, black people want to be free. Okay? And I guarantee you, Governor Wildstar gets in office, he will provide you with freedom. All right? Anybody out there talking about the black vote? Okay? Yeah, I'm black. Let me get the black vote. And I bet you I win. You don't have to vote for me if you don't like my pro-black attitude or the fact that I am black. But you know what? If I get that black vote, I guarantee you I will win because the black vote is extremely powerful. The black vote, again, is the majority. The black vote is what always have tipped the scales in every election, where the black man or black person has been able to participate. And you've seen this, again, factually, historically. And if you want to do your own research to find out how that is so, please be my guest. And I encourage every black person out there that is listening to this, please go out there and vote, okay? Don't let them tell you voting doesn't work. You saw what happened with Obama. Voting works, okay? It needs to happen in the mass majority, though, because again, if you don't go out and vote, and that small majority does, guess who just made the decision for everyone? Right, okay? So now, if you want to talk about politics and the lies of politics, yeah, we know it's a lie. We know they're tricking us. Every politician lies. They lie through their teeth. They say they're going to do one thing on the campaign trail, then they get in office and they do something else, like our new president, you know? They're liars. Hold them accountable. That's what we need to be doing. If it's supposed to be a government of the people, for the people, by the people, then if those people that we've elected as elected representatives do not reflect our desires as a whole, we need to get them out of office. And there's something called a recall election, a recall. I'll say it again, recall. Okay? You don't like who's in office? Recall they ass. And that's basically just a way for you to get them out of office real quick. You don't have to go through the whole impeachment process. You don't have to go through sitting another 4 years or whatever until they're voted out of office. All you got to do is recall. Right now, get them out of office. California has recalled its governor successfully, which isn't really done at all. I think it's probably the third state that has ever done that in the entire country and entire history of the United States of America. But it can be done. You can remove any politician from any position of power that they think they may have. And right now is the time to overthrow government. I said it. Right now is the time for the coup d'etat. You can do it intelligently. You can do it wisely. You can do it respectfully. Okay? You can do it with civil disobedience. And that civil disobedience comes in you refusing to believe the status quo. Don't go voting Republican. Don't go voting Democrat. Neither one of them parties care about you. Both of them have failed you horribly, time and time again. Now let's switch it up and get something all new together in there. I don't care if they're Freedom Party, Peace and Freedom Party, Libertarian, Constitutionalists, whatever the case may be, Green Party candidate. Vote somebody different. Do something different. Albert Einstein explained insanity is somebody doing something again and again and again, expecting different results. We're doing the same thing again and again and again, expecting different results. Nothing about us has changed. So until we change how we start reacting and doing things, then we aren't going to get the results that we want. Look at the laws and the laws that exist. We hate the laws. The laws aren't really supposed to be the laws. There's a law for everything. Where did those laws come from? Where did they stem from? Who were the creators of those laws? Okay, there were laws saying black people couldn't vote. I wonder were those people racist at all? You see? So we need to start thinking about our society and why do we agree to things being the way that they are? Are we really subjects? Are we really slaves? Are we really free? In the land of liberty, I'm not really feeling free these days. And I assure you, I'm certain a lot of you out there aren't really feeling free at all. So I would say join me, Nicholas Wildstar, in overthrowing the government wherever you are, however you can, okay? Get involved because that's all you got to do. Take some time out, go to your city hall meetings. You heard about these city hall meetings where these Republicans are going and they're hearing and they're getting upset with their constituents because they're yelling them off of the stage. Yeah, do that. Do that for the Republicans. Do that for the Democrats. Do that for your police chief. Do that for your governor. Do that for your mayor. Do that for every motherfucker out there that you put in power because you are we the people. And they're supposed to serve you. And when they took that oath of office to serve and protect and uphold the United States Constitution and all that it applies to, those people that constructed that, they knew that if they didn't do that wisely, it would result in a revolt. Revolution. The revolution is now, the revolt is here. Okay? Join me, Nicholas Wildstar, in taking back our country for we the people. All right? I want to thank each and every one of you out there for listening to me run this rant. I know I was probably everywhere, but you got what you did from it, and I appreciate you for listening to me. And I want to thank all of my previous guests that have been here on this show with me and have shared in these conversations. Brother Marlon DeWan, Brother Jai, my lovely, beautiful wife, Crystal Wildstar. I want to thank each and every one of you for just joining me and being brave and being part of Under the Black Light. And I thank each and every one of you out there that have been listening to this, that have enjoyed this as much as I have, that have been hurt by this as much as I have. Because all those emotions are one and the same. It is the Almighty, okay? And I would encourage any of you out there that have enjoyed this to request more episodes in the future if you want. You know, you can do so by commenting, of course, or you can visit my website, follow me on Facebook, on Twitter, or subscribe to my YouTube channel here, of course. And yeah, just please keep in touch because we are only just getting started. And speaking of just getting started, I would like to sign off here by introducing you to one of the last few songs on my last album, which I kind of encompass everything that I'm talking to you about here now. And that song is called Introduction. So here's the introduction to Governor Wildstar. Love you all. Peace and blessings, and may the light of God and love and liberty shine in each and every one of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present you the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world.
Here comes the governor exploding on the scene. Wild motherfucker popping off at the seams. I'm not that mean and I'm not that angry. I'm just a black man who got problems with change. See, the mentally enslaved won't open their minds to see that kindness the blind still leading the blind. The devout don't want to feed into the doom and gloom, searching for God. So here I am out of the tomb. Ooh. It's time to be an anarchist. I ain't a fan of this encroachment on my liberty. Are you feeling me? The cops don't give a fuck about rights. All the bright lights but remain darkened in sight, in spite the debauchery. I'm supposed to go to work and pay my bills. Are you for reals? Cause it looks like the government is about to go in default, but the taxpayers are at fault. What the fuck? They like, what the fuck this nigga think he doing? Who he think he schooling? Who the fuck he think he fooling? The path I'm pursuing is not often tread. It's been said if I don't comply, I might die, but that's a lie. And the devil's in the details, beat them all up. Escargot, bowl full of snails, slithering about, hiding in they shells, but I see them. HNIC, yes, I am him, give it up. I've only just begun. I ain't done, I've only just begun. I ain't done, I've only just begun. I am the one.
Puncher. Now, thank goodness. And now the crowd really can celebrate. A devastating finish.